All right. Welcome back, everybody. This is Draskyl. We're going to be bringing you another educational commentary. I've already had multiple requests for this specific type of video. So today, we're going to be talking about farming patterns and more specifically, farming when you are getting owned. This is a game that I remember I played it a couple of days ago. And this is a game where not only did I get crushed in my lane, but we were also losing both of our side lanes. So this is a game that's going to show you where you can go on the map to find what you would consider safe farm, when you can show in lanes, when it's too dangerous, when do I farm the jungle. We're going to go over all that kind of stuff right here. So I just want to put a little disclaimer before we get into it. We don't win this game. But the thing that I want to impart to you guys is how I get as much farm given how much pressure we're under. So let's go ahead and get started. This game, I am laning against a Huskar, and I believe I was either 9th or 10th pick. And in my mind, I wanted to play OD because I wanted to play it into the Huskar. Now you guys are going to notice that the lanes do not go well. I actually should have done this pre-game so that way I don't have to hear any of the chat wheel stuff or anything like that. Alright, so we're going to fast forward. Wait for the player perspective thing to catch in. Alright. Now again, this is a game where I get just trounced in the laning phase, right? The first couple of waves end up going decently for me. Eventually what ends up happening is his hero becomes better at trading than mine, and I can't reasonably look to stay in the lane. So instead of talking about like the specific lane mechanics, we're going to go ahead and we're just going to keep it on a time 16, get to a point in the game where we have to start making some actual decisions. And all things considered, I think it's right there. Yeah, when I TP back to base, you notice how much I fell behind in CS in just like that probably 1 minute period. And now all of a sudden we look at the lane, and that guy just hit level 6. He used his ultimate on me, and I'm only level 5. So at already 6 minutes in, the Huskar is level 6. He's like doubling me up on CS almost. He's got 4 times my denies. And when I get sent back to base, that's pretty much when he starts to pull ahead. So at this point, I'm already going to myself, oh god. I'm really far behind. It's already 6-0. The enemy team has a 2k lead. What the heck am I going to do? Now, it's times like this where you're completely just screwed out of the laning phase that you kind of have to make the hard choice. And barring just, having someone rotate to my lane and try to help me out, I know in this game that's not going to work. So I have a Winter Wyvern and I have an Io. Neither of those heroes are going to walk to a lane against a Huskar and enable me to do anything. So what do? I do the thing that everyone hates, but sometimes is absolutely mandatory, and that's I'm going to walk to the jungle. That guy throws out a dunk on me. I'm kind of sitting around here going, I can't really sit in this lane anymore. I just can't. So I walk to the jungle. I got the 1-1-3 skill build, so I have a couple of points into the Essence Aura. But you can see that this is on 2 times speed, by the way. This is obviously very, very low efficiency farming. But the issue that I'm having is this is still more farm than I would be getting by sitting in the lane. Now, something important to note as well, I probably should leave this shrine as soon as it ends because the Huskar is on my tower. So I'm going to go to free camera real quick. I'm going to look over here. Now my tower starts taking damage. I should pretty much already be here. But one of the nice things, and this is actually kind of a trick that you can use whenever you're struggling in the mid lane specifically, if you do fall back to the jungle, any good player is going to want to start to push your lane immediately because they want that tower pressure. So what we're kind of doing is we're baiting him into pushing our tower by not showing. And then as soon as he forces the lane up, it's now in a much safer position for me to either pull the creeps off the tower and attempt to last it, or at the very least even just soak EXP. The issue that I had was that I was not paying attention and I was late to rotating to my tower. So the tower takes damage, but I realize it very quickly. I go the ultra safe path. I don't walk anywhere near the river, even though potentially I could have. And with the wave sitting this close, I'm still not really getting a whole heck of a lot. I think I got 1 creep kill there. But this guy's now level 8 and I'm level 5. So this is now a moment where I'm still feeling He's double my CS. He's got almost 6 times my denies. He probably stopped denying at some point just because I wasn't there. You can see my gyrocopter and my IO are both also struggling. It's almost 8 minutes, and they're both level 4. Neither one of them can show on the lane either. So this is a game where we're just getting, like, really, really wrecked, right? So I walk back to the jungle again. Even sitting on top of my tower, I feel like I even accidentally stack. So I accidentally stack the camp, and I'm like, oh man, I didn't mean to do that. Unfortunate auto-attack timing. We're just going to keep farming neutrals. Our hero cannot gank. Because of our skill set, we only have 2 points into the Astral Imprisonment, so the range on this thing is very, very low. So even walking to a side lane at this point is an option. I'm just not really going to be able to get a kill in that situation. Now, if I walked top, I would basically be walking into what I believe was a Grimstroke and a Sand King, who both more or less just had free farm at that point. So I can't really go top. I look at the tower and I see that it's being pressured, but the Grimstroke isn't showing. So because that guy's not showing, I'm just kind of assuming that he's there. And now that my IO's next to me, I feel a little bit safer, so I'm going to take a couple of CS under my tower. And you'll still notice at 10 minutes in, I have pretty much nothing, right? Like, I'm talking, we're food stamp status here, boys. It's not good. So I notice, finally, that they have left the top lane. I assume now they're going to be moving around the map, maybe looking for another kill, maybe trying to wrap around on me in the mid lane. But I see my tier 1 taking damage, and I already have another hero in the lane to potentially pull creeps off the tier 1. So I don't feel too guilty about teleporting away. And while we're paused, I just want to mention really quickly that a lot of the time, my decision making in a game, when I'm choosing to farm, is based off the knowledge of understanding when I can fight and when I cannot. So in this situation, I'm thinking to myself, we got very low damage, our gyro's not 6, we have no relocate, we have no Winter's Curse, I obviously haven't skilled my ultimate because I'm not expecting a team fight. All these circumstances are, I am not looking to engage unless I'm trying to protect something of my own. So unless one of my towers are being attacked, or they're diving someone, I'm pretty much not going to look at the enemy team at all, because I am just that certain that fighting is not the right choice. So when you're in a game and you can discern between when you want to fight and when you don't, it makes it a lot easier to play your game. And I had that notion from a very, very early point. It's a 5k lead in a 10-minute game, which is just absolutely a whomping in the early game. The Grimstroke pulls my creeps, so for now, I'm just kind of going to be sitting under my tower, getting the last hits that I can get. I think I also get the tower deny, but I miss the CS for it, but that's whatever. You'll notice, even though fighting is going on in the map, I'm not really paying too much attention to what's going on down there, because again, I've committed to that choice. I said to myself, this game, I'm not going to fight. You see the Glove of Haste in my inventory right now, 1,300 gold. I buy a Midas. And I'm not going to get too into the itemization factor in this game, but I will say that if you're in a game and you are getting just totally thrashed, and there's not a single other item that you can buy that's going to give you value, sometimes Midas isn't the worst idea. So for an example, a Midas this game would have been Treads plus maybe a Bracer. Does the Treads and Bracer in my inventory really give us the opportunity to take a team fight? I'm going to go out on a limb and say no. This Huskar, right now, is level 11. He's got 1,700 health with no armlet. He's still double my net worth. I'm talking like, this guy is living the high life, right? He had a really good lane. I had a really bad lane. I don't even have boots. So with that in mind, buying the Treads and the Bracer, it's just not going to give us enough influence to really matter. And again, I look bottom. I see a team fight breaking out. I'm not committing to the fights because they're pretty much just straight up suicide. The way that I'm playing this game is under the assumption that I'm pretty much not walking to a fight unless it's a tier 3 tower at this point. They got a 9k lead, and you can feel the pressure in the game. We have no vision. We don't have a freaking single ward. And the other thing, too, about this type of situation where your team is kind of like chain dying, it's a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because if your team is dying a lot, then that means that the enemy team is also revealing themselves on the map over and over and over again. So on to the next like sort of mini topic that we're going to cover in this video. When you're playing a core, specifically, at the beginning of a game, what I'll typically do is I'll ask myself, what heroes on the enemy team can just straight up own me, right? What heroes can solo kill me without me being able to either A, teleport out or fight back? I make that choice and I say, okay, the Huskar is obviously scary, the Pangolier is scary, and the Sand King is scary. Those heroes offer damage, disables, ways to take me out before I can either TP away or just run. So when I see any of those three heroes showing on the map at any point, you'll notice that I start to play more aggressive with how I push the lanes. As soon as I have the opportunity to push a lane, I will take it. Because even though farming is important, continuing to pressure the lanes is equally as important. So whenever you see a high threat on the map, especially in this case, the Huskar is bottom and the Pangolier is bottom, and there was just a fight, which means the likelihood of them TPing immediately and killing me is relatively low. If you can spot those situations and just memorize, what color hero or what hero icon, if you use those on your minimap, is the one that I want to avoid, it makes it a lot easier for you to think, this guy just showed, bottom lane, I'm safe. I can push the top lane. Really good habit to get into. Because sometimes a hero will TP to a tower that can't stop you. So if it was the Grimstroke or it was the Rubik and they teleported to the tower, I probably wouldn't care that much. If they bring another hero, obviously it's an issue. But if I still see core heroes on the opposite side of the map, I'm feeling pretty happy. As soon as the Sand King reveals himself, I decide that it's probably time to back up a bit. We're going to go ahead and pop my Midas here. But you can see I've already made a pretty good recovery in regards to what I had before, and it's only really been a couple of minutes. So the enemy team walks at us. I kind of hesitate here a bit more than I should have. But you'll notice, as soon as that guy goes down, I don't walk to lane straight away. I wait for a little bit longer just to make sure that I know where they're going. And again, they show, I'm back in the lane. I'm hitting creeps. I'm able to push a lane a little bit faster now because I got the movement speed from the boots and the attack speed from the Midas. And I'm feeling a little bit unsafe because I didn't know where the Sand King was at that point. He just showed up again. But during this time, I take the runes. And this is something else that you can... I believe I do this a few times this game. I walk to the enemy side of the map, and I walk where I think that they are very unlikely to have wards. Now, the reason that I think that it's unlikely is because if you look at where they are, they're playing around a point on the map that's very close to our base. So having wards on their side of the map really wouldn't make a whole lot of sense because, to be honest, it's 16 minutes and I don't think any of our heroes have crossed the river. So now I'm feeling like this is the point in the map where I want to be safe. Now, ideally, I would want to push a lane, but the problem with pushing a lane right now is that I saw the Huskar top. I know they just fought mid, and there's already 3 heroes there, so I would basically just be teleporting in to take farm away from someone else. And it's the same situation with bottom, and there's a hero there. So the reason is, obviously, I walk to get the bounties. I pick them both up. That's good value for the team. And by taking this camp, I'm not taking anything away from my allies, so even though I can't push a lane directly, I'm still able to get something out of it. So I TP bot after I establish that the hero down here is a support. Another fight breaks out, but again, I'm on the opposite side of the map. I'm looking for farm. I still don't really see any feasible way for us to take a fight unless it's either at a tier 3 tower or... no, I think it's pretty much just at a tier 3 tower. I don't think in this situation I would even fight for Roche. So this will be my first death of the game, I think. Yeah, I get burrow struck by the Sand King. So I made a mistake in breaking one of the rules that I had for the game, and the rule was try as much as you can not to fight. I got my eyes were bigger than my stomach. I saw a potential kill, and I lingered around too long, and I paid for it. Didn't stick to my game plan, so I die. So we're going to respawn. At this point, I'm not too concerned with using teleport scrolls, but you'll notice heroes up here, Roshan dies, other side of the map. Always. Every single time. Always make sure you're checking lanes for heroes, like allies and enemies, before you're just haphazardly TPing. Now, I got 4 heroes that could potentially defend the base. So my thought process right now is that if they have everyone who can TP back, and then they can hold with 4 perhaps, instead of 5, then that's great. You know, I'll make use of that space. And a couple of people walk to my lane, so I say, you know what? If you're going to walk to the lane, I'm not going to give them the easy cutoff path. So the enemy team was middle lane. They saw us kind of snake down the bottom and start pressuring the tier 1. So what they do is they walk straight across from tier 2 to tier 2. That way, if we're to take the direct path back to base, we're going to get caught out by their gank. So instead of continuing to pressure the tower, which would probably warrant a TP from a hero with a stun, I'm going to just cut straight into their jungle. If they teleport here to catch me, that means that they're not pushing a lane, right? So at this point, I'm just thinking to myself, okay, worst case scenario, I die again. But at the same time, if they come to gank me, it opens up potentially 1 or 2 lanes for someone else on my team to be able to get something. And it's not as dangerous as what I'm doing. So, we sit in the jungle, we hit a camp. I believe we actually kill a couple of camps in here. Our TP is still cooldown, so we know we can't do much. In truth, I probably could cut the mid wave right now, and yeah, that would... The ideal play would have been walking mid and cutting the creep wave between the tier 1 and the tier 2. Regardless of where the Sand King teleports, and I think right now I even have vision of him, if he TPs, I'll see him, and then I can just walk directly into a tree line, and it's going to be pretty difficult for him to chase me. Alright, so we're still in the jungle. Enemy team is pushing bottom. I should really cut waves, but I decide not to. I see the Huskar TP, and I'm thinking, there's no creeps, but I saw the courier walk across the map before. I kind of ran at it a bit. I see the Pango TP, and I just immediately back. So we forced one of the core heroes to move across the map just by us being there. We killed the courier, revealed ourselves. We TP back now because we've essentially turned the fight into what would be a 4v5, because the Pango for sure cannot be here. I banished that guy to save him. We end up getting a counter kill. And that basically was only set up because I was farming the enemy jungle. If you think about it in the grand scheme of things, just one decision to say, I'm going to farm the enemy jungle, and then getting the courier kill pretty much killed the Sand King. Maybe he has his Pango behind him, you know, and we both die. Maybe we don't commit because the Pango is there and we're scared of him. Those kind of plays don't happen if you're not taking the aggressive farm. So, just a small little tidbit. I'm not walking at this guy, the Huskar, because I know he still has an Aegis. So I'm farming under my tower and I'm going, I don't really want to be fighting right now. And as soon as I see that guy showing in the mid lane, with my Bristleback dead, no ultimate on the Gyrocopter, I'm still feeling like I would really like to have my escape item before I try to take a fight. Now, this is arguable if it's the correct play or not, but I've already committed, and my TP comes up, and as soon as I realize that they dove, I do get forced back to the base. But fortunately, I was able to finish my Force Staff before I TP'd, so this guy is going to dive pretty deep here. Winter's Curse is going to go off. It's kind of a mess, but the enemy team is diving our tier 4s. We've all been there, you know. Not every game can be a win. It was a little greedy for me to go for that last hit on the Sand King, but he ends up dropping regardless. And we get a good amount of damage off onto the Huskar. Our Gyrocopter gets credit for the kill. And we're going to go ahead and fast forward through the rest of the defense, because I believe we pretty much just killed everyone. So since the last time we looked at the clock, I know it seems like a lot longer than that, but in-game time it's not even been 10 minutes. You'll see that I'm already back to second net worth. I'm going to pause here right at 2220 so we know where it was. But if we go back here, you'll see that I wasn't even higher than like the position 4 on the enemy team. I wasn't, like I was half of this guy's net worth, right? So it's something to keep in mind that even though you're not really fighting and you don't feel like you're contributing, if you look at my net worth now, I'm higher than anyone on the enemy team except for the Huskar. And Obviously, that guy's still going to have more net worth. They've taken all of our towers. We've taken 0. And they've been leading basically since the minute 1. And I still don't have any kills. This is a killless game for me. We look at the scoreboard right now. I am 0, 1, and 4. And just by simply avoiding the enemy team, and for the most part committing to our game plan, we've suddenly gone from being way down here in the bottom tier. And if you'll notice, the last time we looked at the net worth, our bristleback has gained 1,400 net worth. We've gained, what was it, around 6,500, 7,000 net worth in the same amount of time. And that's not by accident. That's just simply not wanting to fight, sticking to the plan, and always making sure that we're pushing lanes when we can push them. And when someone shows up that is too dangerous for me to deal with, I bail. So now we're going to go back to base. The Huskar is pushing top, kind of on his own. So I decide at this point, their biggest threat, the highest net worth hero, is pretty much not here, right? So 13k net worth gone. That's basically their entire lead. Great. Let's try to take a team fight. See how it goes. We actually stop the TP there. This, I think I actually still end up living here. The Winter's Curse was really nice by the Wyvern. I used my ult there to get the kill. You'll notice I only get like 270 gold from that. It's kind of a ripoff. I wasn't really too pleased. But hey, we defend, we kill 2 heroes. Huskar is going to be showing top here in just a second. And at this point, I'm not really super scared of the Huskar anymore. But it's still one of the big threats for the rest of my team. And I'm just kind of walking back and forth from lane to lane. Lots of heroes not showing on the map right now. And I'm feeling a bit uncomfortable to really get out and do some farming. So as soon as I see the Huskar show bottom, I don't walk directly to lane because my bristleback is already there. But I am going to take the neutral camp on the way. Whenever you can do this instead of just walking to a lane with another one of your cores, I think it's always better. Mainly because you're getting more efficiency out of the map. A lot of the time I'll see a core player walk to a lane and just pass every single jungle camp and then decide, oh yeah, I'm just going to walk straight to this lane even though there's another guy who also needs farm that's already here. Try not to be in the habit of doing that. It's definitely not ideal. Yeah, I think like my dinner or something came during the middle of this and I had to pause for a second, but we're back in it. At this point, we're kind of on the autopilot of defending our base. Every time a creep wave shows up, we're kind of just hitting it. But you can see my net worth is still second highest. Higher than anyone else in the game, and I still do... I think I have 1 kill at this point. So a fight breaks out in the mid lane, and my team is kind of going like all in, and I say, you know what? I've got enough items. Let's see if we can make something happen. I'm kind of waiting for the Shadowblade cooldown, and then I realize that we've already lost 2 heroes, and that without BKB, it's still too risky. And I decide against it. I actually thought we fought there, but now that I see him at my tier 4s, I'm like, okay, there definitely needs to be something here. I think this is the reveal of the Huskar BKB, so I'm feeling like I want to do something. I get disarmed, gonna have to force staff myself away. My BKB is still down. Or, sorry, excuse me, I don't have my BKB yet.
Dire's middle barracks are under attack.
I think this guy just dies. Yep, there we go. Tried to buy a salve from our well. Probably not the smartest idea. They are going to get our mid-racks here, but as far as contribution goes, I'm not entirely sure if there was much more I could do. I think this is one of those times where I misclick and I actually tried to banish the Huskar and ended up banishing myself. We decide that it's too unsafe to walk towards our base to try to get home, as funny as that sounds. And I think I just end up hitting a shrine and continuing to farm at this point. We're still looking for a kill a little bit longer. Oh yeah, the Huskar kind of got isolated there. But I heard the Pango ulti, and I decided that with that amount of HP, I didn't really want to be present for the battle itself. This is an unfortunate thing. I missed him with my auto attack. And because I missed him, I end up going down here without getting the return kill, so a bit unfortunate. I did have money for buyback. I believe that ends up pushing them back because the Pangolier actually dies. And you'll notice, 3 people on my team go top. There are 3 heroes here. Not a single one of them thought to walk down to this lane. There are points in the game where the enemy team's going to back off, and they're not going to directly pressure the base again. One of the cool things that you can do is be on their side of the map and trying to actively pressure something, especially in a game like this where you basically haven't been leading once. Sometimes the best defense is a good offense, and this is pretty much just straight from that book. We're walking down there, we see that Roshan has been killed, and we say, okay, how do we lose from here? We lose by the enemy team walking to our base with an Aegis and not being able to stop them. Obviously, the other method of stopping them would be just team fight and win, but that's going to be really hard with a BKB on a Huskar with 9-second duration and an Aegis. So I decide the way that I want to stop them is by being in a side lane and threatening to take an objective. Now, they don't have to TP for me, and in some cases, they just won't. But at least that means you're not fighting a fight that you would lose anyway, and also not getting anything for it. So we hit a few creeps. We see the fight happening, we're going to walk to the lane. We're still pressuring a bit. They're still fighting top. I walk back to kill a camp. I should probably have stayed in the lane a bit longer, but I see that I have 2 cards now. I'm not TPing immediately because I still have 2 heroes dead. I don't want to be there. As soon as they start hitting the tier 3, I show my face again and I start hitting their tier 2. And this guy's gonna pop out, try to force me back. It was very unfortunate that I didn't get him before he got the ult off, but. And he gets the blink away. So it's one hero TP'd back to stop me, and I wasn't able to kill him. And I obviously can't TP away during that battle, so. We go home. Our base is still pretty much in shambles. Pango is nice enough to gift me a free kill there. I think I get this guy as well. Kind of stuck in the well for the moment. Fast forward a little bit, see if we, yeah, he eventually had BKB. This is a very, very hard Huskar to deal with. Fortunately, now we have BKB. So we're gonna walk out. We're kind of trying to bait them right now, because I have BKB.
Double kill.
I pop my BKB, I turn around, I hit the Huskar. That's the high priority target, want to get him down pretty much as soon as possible.
Killing spree.
And just like that, we net ourselves a couple of kills. So a successful defense, well, successful we're going to use loosely here because we did lose top. We get another little bit of a skirmish. Enemy team walks at us without actually having all of their heroes, and the result is that they kind of fall over there. Sand King goes on mid. Again, enemy team just kind of, their own hubris is kind of doing this to them. We get the kill on the Grimstroke and the Huskar. Enemy team overvaluing how far ahead they actually are, or underestimating OD his strength once he gets the BKB. But for the last couple of minutes, we've been pinned in the base. Not able to really get out and pressure quite the way we want to. We're just going to pause real quick. We're going to take a look at the net worth again. It's only been another, what, 10 or so minutes? Maybe a little bit more. I'm only 4K behind the Huskar. which is still obviously a fair amount, but given the fact that we've been more or less getting trounced the entire game, I'd say that having 18k net worth is fairly respectable. Now, I will be honest with you guys, this isn't all net worth just because of the farming patterns, but it is something that I wanted to show you guys, that sometimes having the proper farming pattern can result in you taking a better fight, because you pressuring the lane while you're farming means that one of the other heroes is going to have to react to what you're doing. So yes, a lot of it is fighting, but sometimes the fights are set up by how you farm. So remember that as well. But from here on out, I actually think everything kind of just goes south, and we end up losing pretty miserably. This was only like a 40-45 minute game, I want to say, in total. We get a nice little quick kill there on the Pango. Our BKB is down though, so we don't really want to fight. Pretty scared.
Monster kill.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
But like these types of games, when you have this kind of a deficit, this game would already be over if I didn't have the items that I had when I had them. So I get like the Pike after the Midas. I don't even upgrade my boots. I want to go for like the super greedy choice later on in the game with getting bots. And then I eventually buy BKB. Now my itemization order obviously all has a purpose. We're not going to delve too deep into it. But the idea is that in the earlier stages of the game, we would not have been able to fight anyway. And by me going to those fights, I'm putting myself at risk. I'm not pressuring lanes. Worst case scenario, I die, and one of the other lanes is still being pressured, even if there's an enemy hero in it or not. That's how you lose very, very quickly. If you want to keep yourself in the game, learning how to be in a side lane, assess what heroes are going to be able to kill you, and also understand, and this will probably be a later video, but your itemization and when your hero's strong, then you can make these choices pretty easily. And even though we're still going to lose, we probably would have lost the game 15-20 minutes sooner if I hadn't been able to accrue the items that I did.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
And just imagine if, you know, another person on my team had done the same things that I'd done. Maybe we wouldn't be in this situation, right? And this is a rarity. Like, you're not going to lose all three of your lanes every single game. Typically when that happens, there is another problem that is not necessarily just your fault. And again, still following kind of the same patterns, just looking to potentially split push whenever the enemy team shows in the map. I believe I end up dying here because I TP'd at a very awkward time.
Mega kill. Ultra.
Yeah, the Huskar was level 25 and he just ate me alive because I had no armor. My BKB kind of baited me into a false sense of security. We do defend, but I have to commit a buyback for it. I could have potentially had a Hex right now if I wasn't forced to buy back right there. We go back to farming, we know 3 people are dead, so we're just going to sit in front of the creeps in the mid lane and just try to push it out as best we can. Making my way to the shop so I can get the bounty runes and also so I could potentially finish my Hex. Just about 100 away. I see a TP, can't kill that guy, so no point really being over there. I was gonna eventually push bottom as well once I finish the Hex, kind of going in line with what I've been talking about earlier, just trying to stay across the map. But I noticed that they've been off the map, so I'm kind of looking around. I didn't realize they were in the Rosh pit. Not sure if I would have been able to stop them regardless. So this one is probably not the best TP that I did this game. But as soon as they kill that, I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, our last lane is bottom, so the chances that they'll walk to me in the top lane are pretty slim. I got my Hex now, I'm gonna throw a few autos on him. I end up getting blink burrowed from fog and couldn't see him fast enough, so my BKB was a bit slow. get the Aegis off of him, but at this point, we're pretty much kind of committed to the fact that we're going to lose.
Dire's middle tower is under attack. Structures are fortified. Dire's bottom
But if you look at the, where is it? Gold per minute. I'm just going to pause right here because the game is essentially over. I've died again, my buyback's on cooldown. I have a 623 GPM in a 44-minute game where I believe the score at one point was like 20-5 or 20-0. And the enemy team has maintained an 8 to 9k lead minimum, sometimes getting close to 20. So if I can get this kind of farm in this situation, anyone can pretty much do the same. You just have to remember the general rules of thumb. 1, assess if you want to fight. If you don't know if you should fight or not, well, that's good because I'll just probably make another video on that too. But if you don't know if you should fight, then oftentimes the answer is no, if you don't know your hero limitations. The second one is, if heroes are showing on the map and you're not fighting, you want to be pretty much on the opposite side of the map from them at all times. Whether you're sitting in the woods on the opposite side of the map or pushing a lane, ideally the latter, you're not going to want to ever waste even a second, right? A lot of people run around the map and they don't have an idea of what they're trying to accomplish, and these videos are in part meant to help that. But if you don't know what you're supposed to be doing next, you can just consider that time wasted time. Because if you don't have an objective, you're not moving towards that objective. And if you're not moving, you're not doing anything. So as little idle time as possible is kind of how farming efficiency works. And because I was able to so quickly discern what I wanted to do in the game, which was farm and not try to fight, I didn't have any hesitation in my movement, except for maybe, you know, a handful of times where a fight was there and I was debating if I wanted to go. But even those few seconds are still time lost. So whenever you're in a game and you're really far behind, just remember that you can still hit pretty good GPM when you're getting just bashed on. And when you lose, you can tell all your friends it wasn't my fault I had 600 GPM. You guys are noobs. There you go. But I'm going to go ahead and call it here. This will be the end of the educational video. I think this one was a bit shorter than the last few, just because this game happened to be so one-sided. But hopefully you guys learned a little bit. This is a farming kind of efficiency guide from when you're behind, and I hope you guys enjoyed it very much. Once again, this is a relatively new YouTube channel, so if you guys could hit the subscribe button, like the video, do whatever, tweet me. It's at Draskyl Dota, TWO, Draskyl Dota 2. And I'll see you guys next time. Have a good day.